No, what do you, Bill Cosby? I was talking with someone about him. It's just funny. Do you remember hearing what Richard Pryor's wife said a few weeks or months ago? She was talking about how Bill Cosby used to always earn points, probably mostly with white America, by pointing out how clean he was and what a disgrace Richard Pryor was. And Richard Pryor's wife said, "You know what?
I didn't know he attacked Richard Pryor."
Well, he sort of by contrast. And when you thought this was pre-Eddie Murphy, he would talk about other comics, and he was always compared to as the two biggest black comics, Richard Pryor, and it was clear he was talking about how there's no need to be filthy and etc. And everyone knew he was talking about Richard Pryor, but his wife, Pryor's widow, said, who I think is white, we talked about, you know what? I just want to point out.
Is this wife number one?
I don't remember. I think the most recent Richard Pryor.
Widow, not number one, obviously, but he's had a few wives. I think he had a few.
Well, he's done at this point. But
well,
Richard,
one would hope.
Yeah, Richard Pryor.
Somebody's buried, unless there's some weird necrophilia.
Yeah, I don't want to go down that road. She said, my husband was very dirty on stage, and you know what? Off stage, he was a good man. He was a good person. I mean, obviously he had his challenges, mainly being drugs, but he was a good person. And
I just saw him when my family and I, my dad took us to Aspen one summer for a week. We stayed at some condominium there, and we rented, and we saw Richard Pryor downtown Aspen.
It probably was pretty good.
Walking the street.
Oh, walking the street, not actually performing.
Yeah, like we passed by him. I think he was at some place where we went to go get Coke. Not the kind you snort, the kind you drink.
Yeah, he didn't snort. He was famous for freebasing.
Line. Yeah.
An accident. Oh, okay. But what is your take on the latest with Cosby, where it's clear he's basically admitted to it? I mean, do you think his whole cleanliness and even his criticisms of Black America, some going a little overboard, criticizing some dumb, poor black kid in the hood who wears his pants down, do you think that was a little exaggerated to sort of cover what he was doing? He exaggerated.
No, that's what liberals like to say, that the people who are the most conservative are the ones that are raping, or they're gay, or they're this or they're that.
But he wasn't conservative. He just had.
All right, this is the thing. It always annoyed me when conservatives would embrace Bill Cosby whenever he would do that, and I'll tell you why. Because he wasn't a conservative ever.
Right.
He was a supporter of Obama. He was a Democrat. He's a liberal. Mm-hmm. And so they would embrace these things he was saying when he's supporting the people that are pushing the counterculture and accepting the anti-authority viewpoint and so on. And the other thing about Bill Cosby that made me totally anti-Cosby, and so I just could not accept any of these lectures he was giving Black America or whoever else, is that he had this affair with this woman. And the woman had a child, and the child, I can't even remember her name, but it was something like Ebony or Amber, something like that. And the child apparently was blackmailing him and wanted him to pay for her college. So he sicked the police on this girl. But here's the thing. He had an affair with the mother while he was married to his wife, his current wife. And I think that's his only wife. And he thought that this was his kid. He was paying the mother money, child support, and all kinds of stuff for this kid for many years. And I'm thinking, well, wait a second. You're lecturing the rest of Black America when you are doing the same kind of stuff, that's this immoral, sleeping around, having multiple families. He thought he had multiple families. He thought this was his kid. Her name was, I can't remember her first name, but her last name was Jackson, something like that.
Right.
And I just thought, this guy's a hypocrite. He should probably shut up now. It's kind of like Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent had this book, I think it was called Ted, White, and Blue or something like that.
Oh, you know him from Michigan, so I guess you...
Yeah, I actually was once on his radio show, and we once testified together for expanding concealed pistol licenses in Michigan or something like that, and lessening the gun control here. But I am not a fan of Ted Nugent because he is the white Bill Cosby. So
why?
He had this book because he had this book called Ted, White, and Blue, he's got a whole chapter where he lectures Black America that they shouldn't sleep around and have multiple families, that it's not good for kids. And here Ted Nugent has, and we're still counting because every couple of years a new kid comes into the picture. Right now, Ted Nugent has 8 kids with 6 different women.
Oh, is that right? I had no idea.
He's a baby daddy. He's a baby daddy more than many black men.
Wait,
So
and did he single out blacks in particular?
Black men. He had a whole chapter. He singled out blacks. I wrote about this on my website several years ago.
Oh.
And a lot of conservatives, so-called conservatives, I call them the lumpen conservatariat, because they're not the thinking conservatives. They're the ones that follow whatever Fox News or the right tells them.
Right.
And
Conservatism
they're like Obama only the right-wing version, yeah. And they all got mad at me because, Ted, you're not allowed to criticize Ted Nugent. You can't criticize Sarah Palin. You can't criticize Bristol Palin. You know, there are these certain people you are not allowed to criticize. Donald Trump is now one of them, they think. And Ted Nugent did that. And on top of all that, Ted Nugent, who is so pro-war and so right-wing and so this and so that, Ted Nugent is a draft dodger, not just once, but on 2 different occasions. He bragged about this to one of the marijuana magazines, I think Normal Times or High Times. He said that when he got drafted, he got his draft notice for Vietnam, and he went and reported to the medical place to get his exam. Before he went there, for 2 weeks straight, he just basically went to the bathroom in his pants and didn't take a shower. So when he got there, the doctors were so disgusted that they ruled him ineligible. That's one thing he did. Another thing he did, most people don't know about this, but some Vietnam veterans who went and served did do this. They FOIA'd some of his military records, and he got a student deferment, even though he never went to college. He actually got a student deferment, and instead he went touring with his band and playing, to different audiences. That was fraud. He should be behind bars for that. As far as I'm concerned, he's a war criminal for doing that. I mean, he's a draft dodger of the lowest order. And, here he is lecturing other people. He's just a complete hypocrite, and he's not a conservative. He preaches conservative things. He lives liberally. He also claims that he never did any drugs, that he was on the road with Aerosmith and all these other groups in the 60s and 70s, and that he didn't do drugs. But in fact, some of the people that were on tour with him said he did do drugs. I just don't believe this guy. I think he's a complete fake and a fraud, and I just wish he would go along with Bill Cosby and STFU. I would be happy if we never heard from him again.
I generally think there should be a rule that if you haven't had a hit song in 20 years, just shut up.
I agree with that. And not only that...
By the way, there goes Bruce Springsteen, too, while we're at it.
Oh, I hate Bruce Springsteen.
I call him Bruce Shitsteen, but... Bruce Shitsteen...
anti-war songs and all that stuff. By the way, one other thing about Ted Nugent was in his book, Ted White and Blue, or whatever it's called, he said in there that he never served in the military because his father was in the military, and it's his father's fault for not instilling in him the importance about it and talking about war with him. And it's also his teacher's fault because his teachers, now remember, he was in public schools in the 60s, all right? That's when the teachers were still patriotic. He said that his teachers did not tell him enough about the virtues of the military. And you know what? It's nice that he can blame everyone.
Crack a
blame is on himself.
Crack a please. That's all I have to say about that one.
Exactly. Crack a please.
Crack with an A. It's racist.
I love white people. I love my race, and I'm not a self-hater like Meghan McCain and pretty much everyone now.
Well, you saw the MTV story.
That's right. MTV ripping on white people, having a whole show about white privilege and how we're all supposed to feel guilty that we ruined this country. Please. We built this country. Yes, there were black slaves.
By the way, Debbie, you
built a lot of things, too.
For the record, my ancestors didn't build this. My ancestors didn't build this country, neither did yours. They were in Poland until after the Civil War. Give me a break, Debbie.
Did do that. Well, I agree. I mean, my ancestors were busy getting raped and attacked by Woody Allen said something about, yeah, my ancestors were getting raped by Bolsheviks or something.
No,
Or raped
his
by-
ancestors were Bolsheviks. Let's be honest. The
All right,
Bolsheviks
well,
were
that too.
doing that.
Some would say he's one.
Yeah. That's pretty ignorant. If any Jew was saying that the Bolsheviks were attacking the Jews,
Well, I think he said Kosa. I think he said Kosa.
Okay, well then that's right, because the Bolsheviks were disproportionately quite Jewish.